And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did crowd for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shivering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewn across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one Murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Plz. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome to Blue Plz. My name is TotalBiscuit. This is WoW Radio, and the date today is the 22nd of August. It is 17:30 EST. It is probably about 10:30 in the British Isles, and I am ready to go, and hopefully you are too. Welcome to the show today. Pleased to have you guys with us. It's going to be fun indeed. Coming up this week in the show, we'll be talking about the Recruit a Friend program and my opinions regarding the Recruit a Friend program and the fact that I think it's all a big conspiracy. It really is. You know, I think that there is something else at work here. They have an alternative agenda, and I shall expose it live on the show today. Now, also, we're talking about the Lake Wintergrasp PvP zone, whether or not it's going to be changing the PvP environment as we know it. And me being someone who's an outspoken critic of PvP, whether or not I'm actually going to bother to play it. Also, coming up in the show this week, we of course have the one and only Illusion of Choice, whose terrible sample I believe I have here. It's the Illusion of Choice. Why did I even make that? I mean, that's probably the worst drop-in I've ever made in my life. Never mind. So yeah, we'll be doing all of that stuff, and of course, got Nubcake news coming up a little bit later on in the show. There will be a Terpster song next week. I apologise, not ready this week. Terpster's been really, really lazy, so it's all this newfound fame and stuff. He was on some other podcast that nobody listens to. What is it called? How I Podcast. Sorry, Podcast Wow. I mean, How I Wow. Easy mistake to make when you listen to it. Anyway, he's been on that, and he was having a good time, by the sounds of it, by dominating 2 hours of the show. It was great fun to listen to. We've also had him doing things for Massively, as well as the WoW Insider show. He actually does Terps Division over there, if you haven't already noticed. So yeah, fame and fortune and all that kind of thing, it's crazy. So he hasn't had time to do that. He hasn't even had time to redo my banners. Seriously, go to the website, you'll see that it claims that Blue Plz is on a Sunday. Like, yeah, thanks Terps, really, you're awesome. Absolutely fantastic. Never mind, there will be a song coming up for you next week. It'll give him time to write some lyrics that actually don't suck. Now, first thing is first. Since we've changed the format around since Season 2 of Blue Plz, it's time... Mail time.
That sounds like... It's mail time. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to whack
my tail.
When it comes,
I want to wail.
Oh, it's your childhood being destroyed before your eyes. It's mail time, folks. Yes, indeed. It's the time of the show that I decide to read some of the best stuff and the worst stuff that I've got over the past week. And if you do want to email the show, it's very, very easy. You email themurloc@gmail.com with whatever you want at any time. So if you've got something really good to say, now might be the time to say it. Seriously. You can also email to give me a topic suggestion for the Illusion of Choice, which I'll be doing at the end of the show. I shall be randomly picking, or at least giving the illusion that I'm randomly picking, one of the topics that you have submitted this week, and that is the last topic that I will do for the show. It's great. It's something I don't get to prepare for whatsoever. You get to pick my brains on pretty much anything and watch me flounder hopelessly live on air. Now, this week's mail, I've got some great stuff here. As in, this stuff is unbelievably hilarious, most of it anyway. Now, at least the first one anyway. The rest isn't so hilarious, but never mind. Now, riddle me this one. I'm not going to change the names of this, but I'm not going to tell you the phone number either, because that would be somewhat unfortunate. Okay, check this one out. I got this one a few days ago, and it was probably the funniest thing I've had all week. And it says this: "Hi, my name is Janice Yamamoto, and I work for Montesquieu Winery in California. We are getting phone calls from people who speak Spanish stating that they heard a commercial on WOW Radio about mortgage foreclosure or something. And the phone number they're giving out for that commercial is our number." And then she gives the number. Of course, I'm not going to tell you that because you guys are evil. "I am not sure if I have the right radio station, but would you please let me know if this is your station?" Well. It appears Max Maps got a little bit drunk and started calling random wineries in California. I mean, I can't imagine why he'd call them in Cali, really. I mean, they're not all that close. He does live in Mexico, so it would be a little bit of a hike. But yeah, so what we can probably discern from that is that Max Maps and some of his Spanish-speaking listeners are losing their homes as a result of the economic crisis and plan to drown their sorrows in some fine vintage from Montesquieu Winery in California. And it's WOW Radio's fault. That's what I can derive from that email. That must be what's going on right now, and I'm scared. I mean, I'm very sorry that Max Maps has to go through this, I really am, but that's just the state of the economy right now. And apparently it's getting all the way over to Mexico, which is interesting, because I thought we exported our economy there. Well, isn't that the point of outsourcing? Oh, well, never mind, that's a little bit too political for this show. But yeah, I thought that was great. So I'm going to give a big shout out to Montesquieu Winery in California. I very much doubt they're listening, but yeah, Janice, we didn't send Max Maps over there. It was entirely of his own volition. I'm very, very sorry. We will fire him immediately if we can find him. I think he's in a gutter somewhere, sprawled out with one of your fine vintages. Oh well, never mind. Now, as well as that, I got an interesting idea sent through by a guy who calls himself Daniel. Yes, Daniel. Whether or not that's his real name, who knows? I have no idea. But yes, I got an email from Daniel, and I'm going to read that out. It's interesting. I like it when you guys send me ideas, because I don't mind putting your idea out on the air. Unless it's terrible, in which case, actually, I still don't mind putting it out on the air, because it gives me so much material to tear apart. In this case, it's not a bad idea, so I'm going to put this out for you. Now, this one's from Daniel, and he says this: "Hi, TV. I had an idea for World PvP, but people just laugh at me. Tell me what you think." Oh, right. Let me just give you a hint here. If you're going to email someone who hosts at least a semi-popular WoW podcast, you're probably best not to start your sales pitch with, "Everybody laughs at me when I tell them this." Because chances are, despite my incredibly refined sense of humour, I will probably laugh as well. Because let's face it, it's just safer to go with the majority opinion. I mean, really, be a little more confident. Try this one on the side. "Hi, TB. I had an idea for World PvP, and it's so awesome that women are taking their clothes off in front of me just to hear it. And these are hot, hot women. I'm not talking touring here. I'm talking like full-on 18-year-old gnomes. I mean, awesome stuff. It's fantastic. I can't imagine just how awesome I must be. I am an exceptional example of humanity. I mean, I am a man of the highest caliber, and I am going to be generous. And I am going to let my blessings fall upon you by giving you this idea." Now, you see how that was more positive? Just have a little bit of a more positive outlook on life, and everything will turn out fine. Really, it will. Anyway, let's get on with it. He says, "Taken from my forum post. Thanks for the copy-paste, very much appreciated." And he says this is my idea for World PvP, and he's actually bullet-pointed it and everything. It has numbers, wow. Yeah, it looks like a real business presentation. I'm just missing the PowerPoint here. Now, he says this: "New quests will be given out to, or by, the PvP Daily Guy. Both the Alliance and Horde can get a new daily to go to an old world area, e.g. Desolus, Lochmadan, Tanaris, etc. To make it more focused and fair, there will be 2 one-hour windows to complete the daily, one early in the day and one at night, of which you can only complete one to give everyone a chance. Only level 68 plus will count towards the quest to stop quester ganking. Let me just stop you there. That's not going to stop quester ganking. If you're on a PvP server and you see anyone, if it's red, it's dead. Especially if it happens to be level 25. You know, really. If it's level 25, it's dead. Because it's hilarious. I want to see how much I can crit the level 25 for. I want to see him go splat. I want to try and DPS him down with my wand. Or maybe rank 1 frostballs, just kite him with it. Yeah, that's how it works. That's not going to stop quester ganking. If you're on a PvP server, you're going to get ganked. Deal with it. Anyway, he continues. The quest will read something like this. The Horde of Alliance has been spotted in this area. Go kill 15 of them. To make it more interesting, there will be variations. One example could be one faction may need to steal 10 supplies from an enemy supply caravan. The others will have to kill 15 looters. Another variation could be controlling an area, etc. The reward would be some gold, some honor, and maybe an item all in a bag. It's interesting that he emphasised that it was all in a bag, since obviously if it wasn't in a bag, he really wouldn't be too much of a fan of it. That should be easy to implement and fun. Well, yeah, it's fun for the guys that don't get killed. I mean, on a PvE server, I suppose that you could make the area auto-flag you if you were level 68 to 70 or whatever, but the problem is on a PvP server, yeah, you know what, people leveling up are going to get ganked, and there are a lot more people leveling up now as a result of the Recruit a Friend program, which we'll go into later on. And to be brutally honest, going into old world areas, probably not the best of ideas. I mean, revitalizing old world content that way, it's like basically trying to patch up a broken dam with a band-aid. You know, the old world is already very, very dead. It's only used for auction houses and Karazhan. And, of course, Camp to Time, but there you go. You know, so I don't think it's worth trying to revitalize. I think it's pretty much beyond gone. You know, it's like milk that's been in the fridge for X number of months. It's lumpy, it smells, it's slightly green, and if you're me and really hungover in the morning, you'll probably drink it anyway, but the rest of you was not going to touch it with a 10-foot barge pole. So it's not really worth the hassle, and the fact that it's going to make questers get ganked, and it will, I mean, there's not even a question about it, makes it unattractive. What I would say is that it's something that they should probably concentrate with, you know, the Outlands and then bring it into Wrath. I mean, it's not a bad idea per se, it just highlights to me the fact that the world is so static. I mean, if this had come in from the very start where you had stuff like supply caravans running around and that actually affected things, like for instance, there was a supply caravan, an NPC control one that went throughout the world. You had to defend it. If it got to your city, you got cheaper repairs, or you got given out some free gold or stuff like that. And if it didn't get there, your repairs got a little bit more expensive, that kind of thing. You know, that would have made the world a little bit more dynamic. Right now, the world is static, and pretending that it's anything else is just a blatant lie. I mean, it isn't. You know, I'm hoping that Wrath's going to make a move at least towards an illusion of a dynamic world, and whether or not it's actually going to happen, I don't know. Maybe it will in Wintergrasp, so we'll talk about that later in the show, but I'm just not sure if it's worth trying to fix. Again, not a terrible idea, and not too difficult to implement. I just think that it's trying to range a little bit too far. Make it something nice and simple, and then in Wrath, maybe try and go a bit dynamic with trade caravans and all that kind of thing. That would be awesome. I mean, I'd really enjoy that. You know, if we had that, it would just make it a little bit more dynamic, and everyone thinks they're actually having a chance to affect the world in some way. That would be pretty cool. Now, one last email before I go to the first music break of the day, and this is interesting. I mean, I think you should have to address this on your next show. Oh, really? Do you? Okay. Well, I'll play along just for the second. This is from someone called Sarah, and she says, us poor girls didn't get a single winner in the Pass the Torch contest. Bad enough we have to put up with OMG, are you a girl, IRL, wanna MSN? With a question mark and an exclamation mark. It seems a little bit too much punctuation there. I could drown in it if I'm not careful. It's simply because a percentage of female entrants or secret WoW radio plot to stop me from getting material, and only at Wintergrasp. With how many ums? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 ums there. That's definitely drown worthy. I could choke on that many ums. Anyway. Yeah, we're very, very sorry that a randomly generated contest didn't actually yield any female results. Now, I don't know what it is, but to be honest, the female listenership of the station has gone down by 98% since Slanik stopped doing his show. Now, I can't imagine why, because Slanik's show was rude, crude, and thoroughly distasteful, but I don't know, I guess jerks get all the chicks, and Sonic is a fine specimen of a man. I'm not going to dispute it, you know. I really do miss him doing his show, and he is a fine specimen of a man, as many of our staff can personally attest in ways that they probably wouldn't want to mention. I mean, it wasn't exactly consensual, but never mind. The fact of the matter is that, yeah, sorry, no girls won. To be honest, I have the feeling that, like, half of those cards are going to be given to girlfriends / wives / female friends that they really, really want to bed. I mean, let's face it, it's a nice gift that you can give. And, yeah, give the gift of Tiny Tyrael Vanity Pet, or give the gift of beta submission. You know? Every girl loves a nice beta. Really. A wife beta. That's really, really not politically correct. I better not go into that. Anyway, yeah. So, I apologise for our random number generator. Clearly it should be modified to be slightly less random in the future. What can I say? That's just the way the cookie crumbles, as it were. Now, this is Blue Plz, and my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm going to be right back after this break. I am going to play for you some Soilwork. Yes, I am, because I love Soilwork. I think Soilwork's a great band. And after we come back, we will be talking about the Recruit a Friend program and the conspiracy! Yes, the conspiracy, there is one. And we shall unroot it live on air. Oh yeah, my name's TotalBiscuit. This is Blue Plz. This is No More Angels. Enjoy. You're listening to the archive recording of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright reasons. If you'd like to hear the live music, then tune in live at 5:30 EST. That's 10:30 British Standard Time on Fridays at WCRadio.com. Let's face it, everywhere you go, you see adverts for Ventrilo server providers. With so many to choose from, how do you make the decision about which is right for you and your guild? To help you with the decision, we brought in WoW Radio's very own bleeding-edge hardcore raiders to show you which provider the world's top players trust.
Loot the stupid car hound!
No. Tank it over there! You're setting the raid on fire!
Someone pulled ads, guys!
Oh, for God's sakes! Heal the tank! Heal the tank!
Hey, guys, it's okay to DI the tank, right?
Why are you smiting and not healing?
Is that a halibut? Are you DPSing with a halibut?
Leave George alone! You'll hurt his feelings!
You named that halibut?
Guys, I think we're wiping.
What gave you that idea?
Well, we're all standing in the graveyard arguing. UGT Ventrilo servers, the only choice for the elite of the elite. Hi, I'm TotalBiscuit, the best and sexiest mage on the planet. When you're like me, you don't have downtime between raids and promotional photo shoots. That's why I use UGT Ventrilo servers. I don't have to get my hands dirty trying to fix a broken server, because it was never broken to begin with. UGT servers provide crystal clear voice communication with excellent hands-on support to make sure your server is always up and running. Not only that, their prices are so low, I was able to use the extra money to buy this £32 salmon. What, you didn't think I was going to be outdone by Dustin, did you? Hey guys, want to run some BRD? Get your premium quality Ventrilo server from UGTservers.com. Be the best. Well, second best. Yes, indeed. My name is TotalBiscuit. This is Blue Plz. You are listening to WoW Radio, and if you're not already in the IRC channel, I would ask you why. There are many wonderful people there. Or at least there were, and now they've been replaced by Blue Plz fans. It's horrible, really. But you need to go in there to help. Save the channel from these people. It's irc.mmoirc.com, # WoW Radio, or if you do not have an IRC client of your own, go to our website and click the chat button at the top of the screen. Come join, and join in with the fun. Yeah, I've really, really annoyed them now. Oh dear. Oh well, never mind. I've always been in the business of pissing off my own fan base. Right. Now, something interesting happened about a week or so ago, possibly even longer than that, and what I will say is that it's been something of a hot topic among various people, and people disagree as to whether or not it's a good thing or whether or not it is a bad thing. However, I know you've all been waiting for the definitive opinion, so I plan to give it to you. I was going to get someone important to give it to you. Unfortunately, I've just got me here this week, so you'll have to make do. Now, Recruit a Friend, what is it all about? The idea behind Recruit a Friend is for you, an existing player, to bring a friend, quote-unquote, into World of Warcraft. And by doing so, you get various benefits. Now, if you level with that friend in the same party, within the same proximity, you get triple XP, not only for quests, but also for mob kills. Not only that, but you can also summon your friend anywhere in the world. Anywhere. You can both summon each other, which is pretty awesome. It's on an hour cooldown, so it's not like, oh, we can go everywhere, but it's a nice bonus nonetheless. Now, that is not all. For every 2 levels that your friend gains, you gain 1 that you can apply to any of your characters, which means if you've got one of those level 30 alts that you never bother to finish leveling, like me, like I have a level 30 alt probably every single damn class, because I can never be able to finish leveling it up, you can actually buff it up to level 60. Now, this triple XP and the extra levels that you get will only get a character to 60. The benefits disappear at that point, but at level 60, you are gifted a zebra, or zebra mount, which is pretty much a unicorn with stripes, from what I can tell. Possibly one of the most flamingly homosexual mounts I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it's pretty abysmal. But it's a free mount, so who cares? It's actually epic speed and everything, you really can't complain. Now, there has been controversy regarding this particular program, not entirely surprisingly, because some people are viewing it as a way of getting stuff outside of the game. Now, this has always been a big thing that Blizzard has opposed, getting stuff outside of the game, i.e. being able to pay for benefits. Now, we can look at the things outside the game which give you benefits, quote-unquote. We've got the cards that you get from BlizzCon and WWI. They give you exclusive stuff. Except none of that actually benefits you in-game, it's just vanity stuff. We've also got the WoW TCG, again, none of which actually benefits you in-game. It's all vanity stuff, it has no actual practical purpose. And up until this point, that's what's been going on, so it's rather interesting to see something of a change of direction there. Now, some people would argue that that is unfair, and that gives advantages to people who can pay more for the game. Now, what I will say is that if you have an issue with $15 a month, then I think you've got more things on your mind and more things to worry about than World of Warcraft. Now, it always surprises me to see something like that. I mean, it's always been the argument against multi-boxing as well. It's like, oh no, these people have more money. They can run however many WoWs and they can afford 4 or 5 accounts. That shouldn't be allowed because I can only afford 1 account. I can't help but laugh at that argument, really. I mean, you know what? If a person wants to drop $75 a month on 5 WoW accounts, then by all means. But you know what? $75 a month is not a lot of money. I spend more going out to dinner. You know. And I'm not even talking good restaurants here. I'm talking chain restaurants. You know, family meal at a reasonable but not great chain restaurant. Plus tip, $75. You know, I'll drop that in a night. No problem. I'll go to the game store, spend $100, $150 just like that. And you know what? I am not wealthy. We are not wealthy as a family. You know, we're pretty much a lower class family. We can still afford it. Why? Oh, I don't know. Proper budgeting, maybe? You know. We've got credit card payments, house payments, car payments. We still afford them, and we're absolutely fine. So, you know. Anyone that has a problem with $15 a month, to me, really needs to be concentrating their efforts elsewhere, because consider the amount of money you could have made in the time you took to post that stupid complaint. I mean, really, go and get a job. You know, if you haven't got enough money, get 2 jobs, whatever. What's the problem with that? Anyway, that's kind of beside the point. I just find it amusing to see people whining about that particular thing. Now, the other thing that people are whining about is the fact that it increases the speed of experience. Now, there's various complaints for various different reasons, but they all center around, wow, this wasn't available when I was leveling. Yeah. That is absolutely correct. It wasn't. And it wasn't available when I was leveling either. And you might ask me, well, TB, surely you would have preferred triple experience back in the day. You're the guy that hates leveling. And this is true. I don't like leveling. I really don't. I think it's a terrible, terrible waste of time. But I also understand that it is part of the course for RPGs, so I'm willing to endure that. And gaining levels is still kind of exciting because you gradually get introduced to a character that gets progressively more and more powerful. Now, other games put a little bit more emphasis on level than WoW does, especially once you get to 70. Of course, it becomes purely about gear rather than level. But what I will say is that no, actually back in the day, I would not have preferred it to be triple speed experience. And you want to know why that is? Well, there's several reasons. The first reason being that I would never have been able to afford my skills. I mean, are you kidding me? Consider this. I mean, consider how this would have worked back in the olden days when there were even less ways to make money. Bear in mind, skill costs have been kept the same. We're not talking about mudflation here. You can't come back and say, oh, well, TotalBiscuit, you could afford blues black then, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, good luck getting blues if I can't even afford Fireball Rank 2. What use is that to me? Now, the fact that you're getting triple XP also means that you're ploughing through areas at triple the speed, which means you're killing less mobs, you're doing less quests. What does that mean? You've got less money overall, because those are the two ways of actually making money. And back in the day, you might well argue, well, you know, you could have done crafting. But even then, low-level crafting stuff wasn't even all that useful. I remember using some of it, but I didn't make a lot of money low-level with crafting, and I started making money at about level 35 when I was able to get 300 engineering. And when I had 300 engineering, I managed to get the sniper scope recipe, and yeah, I was making a bloody fortune back then, but that the minority make money from crafting, and, you know, make it even a reasonable profit from crafting, and in this day and age, of course, that's just never going to happen at that level. But no, the big thing that I've got, and the big problem that I've got, is that I wouldn't have got to see everything. And I still haven't seen everything there is to offer in WoW, and to be honest, I'm not particularly bothered by that. It's like, hey, okay, I've missed maybe 2% of the content, who cares? That's no big deal, I've still seen the vast majority of it, but if the game actually let you level up that fast from the beginning, I would have missed loads of content. I mean, an absolute truckload of content. I wouldn't even know half of what I know about my class today. I just wouldn't have had the time to practice it, and that wouldn't have been too good. Now, to me, it's rather important to look at the timing of this, the introduction of this particular program, and the fact that it has been introduced at a time where the old world is dead and buried. It really is. I mean, doing anything in the old world, leveling alts, most people aren't even bothering. You know, some people already have multiple 70s, and they're spending too much time doing dailies, and they can't really afford to waste time with alts. Now, the introduction of this program means, of course, that you can roll a new character with a friend, and you can level it up at triple speed. Now, I do see that as a good thing, at least from the start. Now, what I do see, at least particularly with complaints of people right now in the community, is the fact that a lot of people are saying, hey, well, isn't this just a power leveling program? You want my answer to that? Yes, that's exactly what it is. Now, the first thing, of course, you would expect me to say is, well, this is dreadful, terrible. Now, I'm going to not do that. I'm actually going to say, you know what? I think this was planned from the very get-go. So let me explain. It seems to me that with the introduction of daily quests and badge gear, particularly, the combination of daily quests and badge gear has made gold farming, at least on a professional, I mean, I say professional, but it's hardly worth applying the term to scum such as that. It's made gold farming pretty much worthless, and only the laziest of the lazy would even bother. I mean, let me put it this way. I was watching Jen do her dailies, yeah? And she did her dailies for probably about a month, possibly even less than that. And you know what? In that time, she earned enough for an epic mount from scratch. She started off with nothing, and then she had an epic flyer, and now she's got like 2k gold again, just from doing dailies. And some of these dailies are actually quite enjoyable. Personally, I find the idea of dailies to be somewhat repetitive, but then again, what isn't? You know, doing the same thing over and over again, whether it be grinding or doing dailies, is repetitive. That's just the way of it. Now, to me, that has pretty much stomped hard on gold selling. It really has. Only the laziest would even bother with it these days. You can even look at the prices. The prices of gold, they're all over the place. I mean, sometimes they're so cheap that in all these offers to try and encourage people to do it, and it's like, well, I'm not going to bother. You know what? I'm not going to drop $200 on 5,000 gold if I can spend an hour every day doing dailies and have it in like 3 weeks. What's the point? I mean, really. I get rep as well. That's the best thing about it. You know, with dailies you get rep, so you get all this other gear. So why bother risking losing your account to a gold seller? Now, with the Recruit a Friend program, I am willing to say, and I'm going to put this out here as my conspiracy theory, this has been done on purpose. Yeah, gold selling, okay, it's been hammered on the head pretty hard. It hasn't gone away, but it's certainly become somewhat pointless. Power leveling, on the other hand, well, you know, loads of people want to do that. But what if, instead of paying, you could recruit a friend, and you could power level yourself? Not only that, but you get a power level as a group, and you get all these cool elements. Yeah? Like you get the ability to summon, you get to add levels to your other characters, and you get the Zebra mount at the end of it, something exclusive. Now, don't tell me that you really think Blizzard needs extra subscribers right now, and that's what they're trying to do. Don't be ridiculous. There's 12 million active accounts. And yeah, there's some big stuff on the horizon. Warhammer Online is coming out. It's going to be a threat to some degree, but do you really think it's going to dislodge WoW? Don't be retarded. I mean, really. That's not going to happen. Yeah, they might lose some. It doesn't matter if they lose 50% of their subscriber base. They're still going to be the biggest MMO on the planet. Now, it seems to me that this has not been done to bring new people in the game. No. I mean, yeah, bringing friends in, it might happen. I'm not going to dispute that. You might want to do that, but really... You know what the better idea is? I'll tell you what the better idea is, and this is obvious, and I'm going to put this out there, and I'm not going to say, hey, well, this is an exploit, or it's a loophole in the system, because it isn't. It's set up this way. Now, you've got an account, you get your friend to sign up for a second account, yeah? Assuming you're not really doing anything. What you do is you cancel your first account, you set up your second account with the same last name as your first account, yeah? Now, you get your power leveling on, okay? Delicious ginger ale. Now, you get your power leveling on, and you level yourself up to 60. You get your mount, and you get your extra levels for your character, okay? And then, what do? You transfer, at least this is your friend, you transfer that character all the way over to your main account. You cancel that account, and look, your main account's active, and you've suddenly got a level 60 on it. Very, very fast. Now... Please do not tell me that Blizzard didn't think of this, because I have absolutely no doubt that they did. I really do. I think it's intentional. I really do. This is an attempt to hammer down on power leveling services, because who, in their right mind, would buy a power leveling service if you could triple level? You know what? I'm going to be doing this Recruit a Friend program, and I'm going to be reporting on it in the next few weeks, and I'm going to tell you about the experience, because you know what? I think this is a brand new experience for World of Warcraft. I really do. Triple experience is going to affect the way you play the game. It's going to change the game dynamic, at least when you're leveling up. And to be honest, this speed leveling, for me, that sounds attractive. I'm a person who hates leveling, but to me, 3 times the speed, you know what? That might be tolerable. You know what? If I'm doing it with a friend, and I have to do it with a friend in order to get the bonus, it's going to be double the fun. And it's going to be 3 times the speed. And I want to do that. I find myself wanting to roll an alt and actually level it up. And I've never done that. I mean, the highest ult I've got is level 28 or so. And that's just for gimmicks. I mean, like WoW Radio Guilds or Machinima or RP events or whatever, that we were just mucking around with people. And I really actually intended to get the character up to the highest level imaginable. But you know what? Now I might do that. I might actually roll something that's not a mage. Really. That is a shocking, shocking thing for me. And it's taken this. It has taken this to make me do it. Now... For me, as an old guard player who had really lost interest in playing towards the end of TBC, this is a new lease of life for me. This is like, I can experience the old content again from a different perspective, from a different class, and not be overly frustrated by the fact that it takes too bloody long to do. It's genius! Whoever came up with this is a bloody genius. I'm not going to dispute that. I mean, this guy should be held up on a pedestal. He really should. Because... this is not just a double-bladed sword. We're talking about a frigging glaive here with like 12 blades, and you throw it through the air and it sticks in someone's head, and the police come and say, hey, why did you throw that glaive? And he said, well, just because it's that awesome. And they say, oh, okay, it was awesome, that's fine. We'll leave you in peace. That's how awesome it is. And I think it's a work of marketing genius. I honestly do. And I'm going to take part in it. And I'm going to report on it over the next few weeks. I'm going to give you my experience, and I'm going to tell you exactly what's been going on, and how, as an old guard raider, this makes me feel, and whether or not, for me, this is the new lease of life for WoW. I'm genuinely excited. And you know what? You want to call it power leveling service, and you want to say, oh, well, you're paying for benefits outside of the game. Well, you go ahead. But to be quite honest, I don't mind a change in direction when it's for the better like this, because I think this has got so many different purposes and so many different uses, and they're pretty much all positive. And I'm going to put my seal of approval on it as a great idea. I really am. After the break, we'll be talking about Lake Wintergrasp and the new PvP experience that it promises to provide. My name is TotalBiscuit, this is Blue Plz, this is WoW Radio, and this is some Nubcake news. I'll be back after this. Enjoy. Live from the Blue Plz Tower in Howling Fjord, this is Nubcake News with award-winning anchor TotalBiscuit, bringing you the news that you want, whether you know it or not. Welcome to Nubcake News, my name is TotalBiscuit, and this is my huge shaft. I recently came into possession of it from a goblin mining company, thought it might turn a nice profit. Getting it out of the studio could be a bit of a problem. In the news this week, speculation is rife in the financial sector about the impending downfall of Blizzard Entertainment, With huge releases such as Progress Quest Online and the already unstoppable Hellgate London, is this the end of a short 17-year honeymoon for the startup developers? To find out what lies ahead for the troubled company, we sent a man to Blizzard HQ to discover what they have in mind to save their failing enterprise. Here with a special report is business correspondent Total Wanker. That's Banker, you bumbling buffoon. No, can't be. Total Buffoon is away, hosting a show on WoW Radio at the moment. Quiet, you imbecile! I'm here today with Blizzard's head of public relations, the Prophet Scarum, who will be talking to us today about his grand scheme. Foolish mortal, you could not possibly know about our grand scheme. Nay, I will inform you of a scheme none the less grand, but in comparison, not so grand at all. So just how grand is it? 7. Well, that is certainly quite grand. Tell us about this plan to revitalize the World of Warcraft. Well, as you know, the WoW population has been dropping sharply of late. What you don't know is they have not in fact left for other games. We actually fed them to Viscidus. Wasn't he last seen in the fridge? Yes, but you see, WoW players are so predictable. Our operatives handed out flyers to all the major cities offering free epics and a glass of milk, and told them it could be found in the Karaji fridge. While we found it somewhat hilarious for a time, we discovered that those eaten by an amorphous green goop monster could not in fact pay their subscriptions. This left us in a bit of a pickle. So our lead designer, Cthulhu, came up with a great idea. The Recruiter Friend Program. Or so we thought. Sounds okay. What happened? Well, you know how he likes to whisper all those creepy phrases to you. Yes, he's a real joker, but turns out that in fact, yes, your friends will abandon you. The program was a colossal failure. So what does Blizzard plan to do to avoid certain doom? Well, actually, we're big fans of certain doom, particularly when they concern prophecies and armies of giant space ants. Let me rephrase. WoW is clearly on the brink of annihilation. What do you plan to do to avert that? You're kidding, right? We're the goddamn Karaji. We're planning to cause it. No, this isn't getting anywhere. Can I speak to your supervisor? Fine, bloody reporters. Calvin? Who's Calvin? Well, I guess you know him as Cthulhu, but we like to call him Calvin. It's between friends. You wouldn't understand, you pitiful mortal.
Yes?
How did you get out here? Aren't you eternally bound to the floor of your chamber, surrounded by a miasma of pure unadulterated darkness and fear?
Stairlift. We just had it installed. The payment plan was very reasonable.
I'm sorry, you'll have to forgive me, but I've never seen the rest of you before.
That's because your guild sucked, my dear.
No, not phase 2. I mean those incredibly stylish jeans you're wearing.
Well, they don't call me Calvin for nothing, you know. But seriously, call me that and I digest you.
Moving swiftly on, tell me about this plan you have to revitalize WoW.
Well, the Recruiter Friend program didn't work out too well, so we've decided on an entirely different approach. We call it the Recruit a Mortal Enemy program.
Intriguing. How does it work?
We've prepared this instructional presentation to answer just that.
Do you think you've beaten WoW? Are the challenges of even the toughest instances now dull and mundane? Don't worry, help is on the way in the form of the Recruit a Mortal Enemy program. How does it work? Well, I'm glad you asked. First, you must find yourself a partner. The more you hate each other, the better. Once you've entered your information, your enemy will roll a new character and you will pick an existing one. One player will begin at 70 and the other at level 1 on opposing factions. Each player will be granted triple experience, but for every level your enemy gains, your main will lose one. That's right, the excitement of lost experience from the good old days of MUDs and old school MMOs is back again, with a competitive twist. What's more, you both gain the ability to summon each other to the place you were originally standing, at the same time. But why am I in the middle of Serpent Shrine? What?
What the? Iron Forge?
It's an orc! Get him! Get him!
Get him off me, they're biting my kneecaps. No, not there.
Instead of giving you both a zebra mount, because let's face it, they're for pansies, we decided to give you the ability to take away your mortal enemy's mount. At any time! What the? To make sure the competition stays fast and furious between you and your mortal enemy, whenever one of you reaches level 0, your entire character will be deleted and replaced with a mage in full Arcanist. Well, okay, I guess that's a little extreme. We'll just delete the character. An experience the truly hardcore will love. It's World of Warcraft's Recruit a Mortal Enemy program. Enroll today. So, an astonishing turn of events and a very sound business strategy from Blizzard. We look forward to seeing how successful it is. This has been Nubcake News. Good night. You're listening to the archive recording of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright reasons. If you'd like to hear the live music, then tune in live at 5:30 EST. That's 10:30 British Standard Time on Fridays at wcradio.com. My name is TotalBiscuit, and I'm the station owner of WoW Radio, and this is a public service announcement. Over the past few months, we've received a number of complaints from concerned mothers. Each time, the complaint is the same. Their son or daughter appears to have come down with a mysterious illness. Doctors are calling it savage fever. Its symptoms are many and varied. Those afflicted believe they're part of some crazed virtual world where RPG, RTS, FPS, and deadly melee combat combine into a clearly impossible gaming scenario. They've also been known to spout random phrases at inopportune social moments, including asking random passers-by if they're like bears with lasers, and breaking into random wicked guitar solos in the middle of the street before making explosion noises and overly dramatic hand gestures. Thankfully, this overly awesome illness now has a cure in the form of giant friggin' bats! Savage 2 is like the game you never thought could happen. If you like RTS, RPG, FPS, melee combat, squad play, siege warfare, base building, shape-shifting, wings that are like a shield of steel, and breathing acid in your enemy's face, then S2 Games has the game for you. Savage 2 is a unique team-based multiplayer title, perhaps one of the most innovative ever created, and better yet, it's only $19.99. Grab it from s2games.com or add it to your Steam collection. Isn't it about time you caught Savage Fever? I don't know about this Savage Fever lark. I think it has warts and, weird smells. But I suppose if you like that already, it doesn't really matter. My name's Blue Plz, except it isn't. My name's actually TotalBiscuit. Let's change the show around, right? My name is Blue Plz, and this is the TotalBiscuit show. Wouldn't that be great? It's funny how many people actually read, writing reviews or posts or whatever. Tend to have a look around the internet every now and again for mentions of the show and the station and all that kind of thing, so we can deal with the PR kind of side of things. It's nice to know who knows us and where they know us from and how they found out about us, so that we can promote it that way. And it's amazing how many people say, "Oh, I love Blue, he's awesome." And what is this? I'm sorry, I'm not a blue dog on a children's show. It's just not the case. I have the mail time thing. No more of that, thank you very much. But this is not Blue's Clues on WoW Radio, as much as it probably should be. It might be a little bit more interesting. So yeah, for the rest of the day, my name is Blue Plz, and the show is called the TotalBiscuit Show. There we go. That'll confuse everybody that started to just listen. They're just getting into the head, and then whoosh, reversal. It's like whoosh, yeah. Never saw it coming. Always changing, always evolving on this show. Oh yes, oh yes. Right. Speaking of changing, speaking of evolving, we were dealing with the idea of PvP a few weeks back, and the fact that I thought it was really stale. Now, there was one thing that I didn't mention, one rather large thing, and that was not, in fact, my huge shaft, which I still haven't managed to get out of the studio. I'm talking about Wintergrasp, Lake Wintergrasp, as it is called. Now, what is Lake Wintergrasp? For those of you who do not know, Lake Wintergrasp is going to be an outdoor PvP zone. Yeah, it's an outdoor PvP zone in Northrend. And its big thing, apart from being an outdoor PvP zone, which is, of course, something they haven't actually done yet, unless you count Doomlord Kazakh, and I really don't. have a big problem with people ganking there. I really do. It's like, I never actually managed to kill that guy. Seriously, this is a complete aside, but I never managed to kill Doomlord Kazakh because people think it is an outdoor PvP zone. Nobbins. Anyway, the big thing about it, aside from it obviously being a unique zone, is the fact that it has siege engines in it. Now, from playing the Wrath Beta, it's been interesting to see how these siege engines are actually going to work, because there's a number of quests very early on where you got to fly or drive something that is quite similar. Okay? Now, you might think, well, surely siege engines are just mounts with usable abilities. That's not actually true. Siege engines are a brand new thing. For a start, they actually handle differently. Now, the little plane that you get to fly is a level 70 quest up in, I think it's either the second or third area, probably the second, up in Howling Fjord by a rather large little castle thing, and that's the kind of your second quest area in there. And if you're playing Alliance side, you'll get a quest which is around a huge shaft, apparently. A massive, great, stonking, thick shaft buried into the ground. It's a quarry, basically. It's this huge quarry. And you can go down there in this flying machine. You actually get this quest to go in the flying machine, and you pick up 3 of these bags of treasure or whatever, and you bring them back up. And after that, you get to do a daily quest, which involves flying a flying machine that is armed with machine guns and rockets. And the machine guns and rockets are you use to shoot gargoyles out of the sky, and that's a daily quest. And it's interesting to see how that plane actually handles. It doesn't handle like a mount. You can't stop it. Once it's going, you cannot stop it. And it has a turning circle, which is kind of neat, because that's not something we've really seen before, especially not in controllable stuff, you know. I mean, hey, the bombing runs have, but we're talking about controlling a bombing run in something that is actually flying and it isn't merely just a mount in the sky. It's intriguing. It's very interesting. Now, that should demonstrate particularly how they work, and there are other siege engines. There was actually a very nice exposition video on the subject that you can find if you go and look for First Look Wintergrasp on WoW Insider. Some guy who was doing exploration videos managed to somehow get access to some of the stuff, and he showed us how the flying machines worked, which again you can see in Howling Fjord. He also showed us a Demolisher-style siege tank with a catapult and a Goblin Shredder, which has a jetpack strapped to the back of it, because, well, let's face it, you know, that's what you really, really need on woodcutting equipment. I've seen it all the time. I think the biggest problem with forestry in this world is a lack of jetpacks. Really. You know, so just bear that in mind, eco-nuts. The reason it's got this bad is because we don't have any jetpacks. So stop protesting the damn jetpacks! Ugh, fuel efficiency be damned. I want to fly through the air, damn it. Now, Wintergrasp has got this kind of siege warfare thing going on, and the use of siege engines, to me, initially seemed like something of a gimmick. But I've been reading up on it and gathering all the information I can. There was a great article on WoW Insider, plug, which analysed the Wintergrasp PvP discussion that was had at WWI, the panel that they had there, and I was intrigued by the whole idea. I was intrigued by the idea that it was going to be an outdoor zone dedicated to PvP, because to me, World PvP so far has been an absolute flop. It's been a dud, a zero, a failure, a complete waste of time. And to be honest, I think that Blizzard actually agrees with that. I really do. They made the attempt in the Burning Crusade with the PvP objectives, but the vast minority of people actually did that because really the rewards weren't actually worth having. Honestly, let's be fair here, they weren't. You got stuff maybe as you were leveling, but there was no point going back there once you really hit level 70. There was nothing of value, and people just did the arenas, did the battlegrounds. So World PvP, while it happened a little bit as we were leveling up in TBC, quickly died out and is now the domain of the tiny minority of hardcore players that just do that. And I tried it and I never really enjoyed it. I thought, okay, right, we've got objectives here, but it doesn't really encourage me to do anything because it's not worth it, and I really think that they're actually they're on a loser with that idea anyway. If they made it too powerful, everyone would have done it, and it would have just been a complete and total nightmare. It would have been a scrimmage with like 200, 300 people. It would lag the server, it would crash the server, it would be a complete waste of time. You wouldn't be able to do anything remotely tactical because all it was a giant swarm of people. It's like, think of how South Shore versus Taran Mill used to be. Now multiply it by, I don't know, 10. And then you've got an idea of what that could have been if they'd buffed the buffs and the items and stuff that you got from World PvP to ludicrous levels. I mean, seeing a large battle in Halar, for instance, is relatively rare, and even then, that's the biggest effort they made at a World PvP zone right there. They put this contestable town, you didn't gain much from it at all, but people still played it, but they were, again, in the minority, and to be honest, it wasn't that great. You know, let's be fair here. I'm not going to beat around the bush and say that it was a good idea, because it kind of wasn't, and it wasn't properly thought through, and it just became something of a waste of space. Now, the idea of putting something in its own zone is good, because that means the people that want to use it can go there, and the people that don't can stay out of the way. Now, I leveled on a PvP server, so I know how ganking is, and to be honest, I don't care. I mean, I can deal with ganking. It's like me playing Dota. I get killed in Dota all the time. I'm not bad at the game, I'm just overly greedy. So I tend to run into people and get ganked, and I'm not too bothered by it, really. And, of course, everyone on Vent is now saying, liar, liar, pants on fire. Well, yeah. By bothered, if you mean shouting at 120 decibels down the microphone and threatening to kill someone with a blunt spoon to the sternum, is not exactly what I'd call anger. It's a contained kind of rage that can only be simulated within the environment of a Warcraft 3 custom competitive map. Now, you might say, how does this help World PvP? Or indeed, does it? I mean, does it at all? And my answer to that would be, probably not, but is it worth helping to begin with? For me, to fix World PvP, it's going to take more than Daniel's idea from earlier. It's going to take more than putting Wintergrasp in there. It's a nigh on impossible task. WoW wasn't designed with PvP in mind. We all know that because PvP was put in later. It wasn't initially supposed to be there. It was put in later because people were saying, oh, well, we want PvP. Okay, we'll put it in. And we want to do more with PvP. We want PvP to be a playstyle. Okay, you can have the honor system. That's not good enough. All that's happening is Tara and Mill versus South Shore. We want something else. Okay, here's some instance battlegrounds. We don't like these battlegrounds. Okay, here's a new battleground. We don't like battlegrounds. Okay, here's some world PvP objectives and some arenas. We don't like arenas. We don't like these world PvP. You can never bloody please some people. I mean, really. I think the PvP agenda is listened to way too much. And personally, I'm a raider, so I don't really care about PvP, and if I want PvP, I'll play a game that actually requires skill to do it in. You know, I'll play an FPS, I'll play an RTS, I'll play a fighting game, or something, anything that requires some actual skill and not the pushing of a macro button. And the fact that, oh, he's on lower health than me, therefore he dies. You know, heck, I get more advanced gameplay out of a pen and paper RPG, which I must say is actually quite a bit more fun than PvP in WoW, but I suppose if it's here to stay, then it's here to stay, and I like the idea that they're taking a radical new direction with it. Again, I think it's become somewhat clear that world PvP is not really going to work, because the world is too static, and I've covered this time and time again, and I'm going to keep covering it until I'm blue in the face and possibly dead and buried, and it will continue to echo on, and it really will, until they get something done about it. The world is static, therefore no one cares to fight over it. That's the point. It's like, you might say that people will fight for any given reason, but if they're fighting for the sake of fun, then there's got to be something worth fighting over. It's like saying, hey, we'd all play Team Fortress 2 if the map was nothing more than a 4x4 box. No, you wouldn't. You want interesting levels, you want objectives, you want things to fight over, you want the intelligence, or the lack of intelligence, as I mostly find in Team Fortress 2. And that's something that is required for a PvP competitive environment. Just killing the other team, especially in a game that doesn't require skill, is not good enough. You know, like in a game that is skill-based, it's okay to kill the other team, because it's like, hey, I'm skillful, I have this kill, you know. But in a game that doesn't, and a game that is based on progressing your character, you can't progress your character by doing nothing more than killing the enemy. It's not enough. You know, it's not enough to just kill people of the opposing faction. You don't gain anything from it. Now, if you want a world PvP, you have to have something worth fighting over, and as demonstrated, it's got to be something more than a little tower in the middle of nowhere that serves no practical purpose. You know, a buff is not enough. Spirit shards are not enough. You know, those marks of honor or whatever it is that you get from doing the Hellfire, not enough. Because people know, they realise that there's nothing there really to fight for. It's a gimmick. I mean, when you're in Battlegrounds, at least they're not trying to disguise the fact that it's a gimmick. You know, you go into Battlegrounds, it's an entirely different instance. It's blatantly just a mini-game. You know? And as long as you're okay with that, and you're not having to suspend your disbelief, that's fine. You say, okay, we're going to Battlegrounds for the minigame. We're not going into the middle of the questing zone, which they've tried so hard to make look like, you know, there's something going on in the zone. And then randomly, suddenly, in the middle of nowhere, big friggin' tower. For no apparent reason. And you know what? Big friggin' tower shatters my sense of disbelief, and I don't like Big friggin' tower. Big friggin' tower stole my lunch money when I was little. He killed my dog. Threw my cat in the river. all this other horrible stuff. That is the fault of Big Friggin' Tower. And I don't like him being here. I really don't. He was very mean to me. So, I think the idea of tacking world PvP into these zones is not a good idea. So, I am going to side with the fact that Wintergrasp might be fun, because it's taken that away. Okay? It's taken the idea that, there are world PvP objectives away into, this is not world PvP. Let me just say, if you say that Wintergrasp is world PvP, that's not true. It's not, because it's a contained zone. Yeah, it might be outside, but that doesn't mean it's world PvP. It doesn't affect the world, it is zone PvP. And that's a new term that people should start to use. It is zone PvP. And that's cool. That's okay. Because, in this case, it's not a case of suspending disbelief. You're going into what is clearly marked out as a war zone. And the zone is a battlefield. And it's hopefully a perpetual battlefield with stuff that can be changed. And there's the big kicker. That is what has been lacking up until this point. You cannot change anything in the world. The world is static. Yeah? And attempting to introduce something that you can change doesn't feel right, because those zones have been static for X number of years, and suddenly saying, here's a big friggin' tower, isn't good enough. Having a zone from the start that is known to be a war zone, and starts off as a war zone and continues to be a war zone, that works better. That's fine. And it doesn't even matter if you can't change much, because if you can knock down a tower and a bridge, and it's going to maybe be like that unless it gets fixed by the time you get back, now that is a revolution. It is a revolution. And starting it off in one contained zone is a good idea. Trying to introduce the whole idea of, hey, it's now not a static world right now, that's not going to work. People are not going to accept that, because they knew, and this is what they're used to. For 3.5 years or whatever, they've been used to dealing with a static world that is nicely set out, it's pretty, it's got a good story behind it, the quests are fun, but it's still static. It's going to be the same when you get back there. And it's no good just to change it all now and say, hey, suddenly the world's in upheaval. No, you don't want to do that. It's not sensible from a business perspective, because screwing with people's perceptions is never good when you want them to stay subscribed to your game, because some people get disillusioned, a lot of people fear what they do not understand, and let's be honest, the general population of WoW, not that bright. So, not a good idea. Now, putting it in one zone that's clearly marked, much better idea. Now, I must say that I am looking forward to trying out Wintergrasp, and I'm hoping that it's going to be as good as it looks. The whole siege idea looks great. I mean, it's not just the siege engines or the fact that you can pilot these vehicles, it's the fact that you can knock stuff down and it will stay knocked down, and that's a big thing for me. The idea of affecting the world, even in such a small way, as to knock down a brick from a wall, or destroy a bridge, or set a tower on fire and have it burn to the ground because you've been using a siege engine. To me, that is change we can believe in, to coin a phrase. Now, I would hope that they manage to pull it off. It would be nice. I really do hope that. I mean, I've been looking at it and it looks alright. The siege engines look relatively fun to use. I've flown one of the flying machines and it works pretty well. It's going to take a bit of getting used to. It's certainly different, but I'm looking forward to it. And I hope you guys are too. And I will look forward to seeing you guys in the battleground. And I hope that there won't be a huge friggin' tower in the middle of nowhere. And if there is, I'm going to collapse it on you. Simple as that. You're listening to TotalBiscuit Show with myself, Blue Plz. See how I had to actually think about that one? That's kind of scary. I'll play some Night Rage for you. It's a jubilant cry, and I'll be right back after this with the illusion of choice. Enjoy. You're listening to the archive recording of Blue Plz. Music was removed due to copyright reasons. If you'd like to hear the live music, then tune in live at 5:30 EST. That's 10:30 British Standard Time on Fridays at wcradio.com. Since 2004, WoW Radio has been your premier source for original audio content in the World of Warcraft community. Needless to say, we have no intention of stopping now.
Casually hardcore.
Got a life, yet you're still level 70? It's more likely than you think. Tune into Casually Hardcore for the grown-up perspective on WoW with Gnomewise and the crew on Sundays at 12 p.m. EST.
Wow, things considered.
Blizzard's got a watchdog, and these guys are always hot on their heels, discussing the hottest blue posts and Blizzard news throughout the week. It's Wow Things Considered with Cadwellian and Dunko on Fridays at 7 p.m. EST.
the WoW Insider Show.
What happens when you bring together two of the biggest WoW news sources and dump some of the most knowledgeable and entertaining people in the WoW community into one room? And Terpster. You get the WoW Insider Show, bringing together WoW Insider and WoW Radio's expertise to inform and entertain you every week on Saturdays at 3:30 EST.
Warcraft Anonymous.
They can quit anytime they want, they just don't want to. Get your fix and feed your addiction with Hiko and Railvass on Warcraft Anonymous. Every Saturday at 7 p.m. EST.
Octail and Hordak versus the world.
Satisfy your gaming urges with Parsec Award nominees Octail and Hordak as they take on everyone and everything in an outstanding show. Octail and Hordak versus the world. Sundays at 2 p.m. EST.
TB Show About Video Games.
As if you hadn't had enough of the cynical Brit, veteran shoutcaster, station owner and proper English gent TotalBiscuit brings you his perspective on the gaming scene, packed with news, reviews and great music. TB Show About Video Games, Mondays at 2 p.m. EST.
Max Speed.
Going real fast, in no direction in particular. It's your light-hearted look at what's going on in the world of Warcraft and the gaming community. Hosted by a Mexican and a guy in a Twinkie suit. Tune into Speedy and Max Map's Max Speed on Saturdays at 5 p.m. EST. Download anything you've missed from WCRadio.com and be sure to tune into our live shows. We promise you it's going to be
epic.
Yes, indeed, folks. You're listening to the TotalBiscuit Show with myself, Blue Plz, and I wonder how long I can keep doing this without screwing up. We shall see. You're all very confused now, a bit leery. Everything in your world's turned upside down. You should be scared. Are you scared? Be scared. Now, it's the illusion of choice, and I have the horrible drop-in that I'm going to play again because I don't like you. Work.
It's the illusion of choice.
Yes, it's the illusion of choice. And it is pretty much what it says on the tin. I am giving you the illusion that I am allowing you to choose my next topic. And it pretty much is an illusion, I must say, because I'm going to, let's say, I spin the wheel to pick the one that I want to do. Oh yes, Michael Torpy. This one came in a grand total of 3 minutes ago. And it says this: Dear TotalBiscuit, I put to you that by encouraging guilds to spend time running Karazhan repeatedly after they have it on farm, badges of justice are discouraging them from making actual progress in more difficult instances. What do you think of badges? It's from Michael Torpy. Okay, for this week this will be our illusion of choice topic. Yes!
It's the illusion of choice.
At least it's not false advertising. It is most certainly an illusion. Now, this is a topic of contention among many people, including myself. I actually contend with myself over this issue. I really do. I have long discussions late into the night with myself about this problem, and I'm like, TotalBiscuit, this is a really stupid system, isn't it? No, TotalBiscuit, I really disagree. I think the system has real potential to help people who are less fortunate than us in the game. But TotalBiscuit, why should we help people who are less fortunate? They are clearly nubs. Well, TotalBiscuit, you need to be far more understanding of the different playstyles of people. TotalBiscuit, I don't need to be understanding of anything. I want you to go away now. TotalBiscuit, I can't go away. I am you. But you must. But I will not. I cannot. You must. Ah! And then there's this kind of Jedi power battle in my head with lightsabers and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. I mean, I wish you could see it. I really do. But you can't. Because you're unfortunate. And I can't help you. Now, let us talk about badges. Badges, again, issue of contention for me, and the issues that I see with badges are the fact that badge gear is too good, at least now, but if it wasn't very good, people wouldn't bother to get it. Now, leaves me with a bit of a dilemma, because since the start of Blue Plz, I have always championed the cause of progressive content. The idea that somebody should be able to get the same kind of quality loot as long as they spend an awful lot of time doing it. And the idea that, hey, okay, we can get something that's, you know, relatively similar to what you can get in raiding because I don't have time to raid, or I just don't like raiding, or I don't happen to be in a guild that can raid, you know, any number of other reasons. So, you know, I should be able to get something too. Now, as a raider, I don't mind people getting gear. What I mind is when people get better gear than me from doing less work, and that's always going to be the problem with progressive content, and badge loot is progressive content. There's not even a question about that. The idea of being able to do instances at your leisure to acquire badges, which can then eventually be spent, is progressive content. And the system itself is not bad. There was nothing specifically wrong with the system. The problem I've got with the system is more of the fact that the gear it gives is too good. Now, yeah, the point has been made in the email that, you're forcing guilds to run Karazhan, and you're forcing them to do that at the expense of learning other instances as well. I'm going to be honest with you. If anyone is being forced to raid Karazhan rather than progressing, then there's either something very wrong with their guild, or they're very, very casual. And by casual, I don't mean bad, I mean they are like raiding maybe one night a week. Yeah? I mean, you can clear Karazhan in about 4 hours or so, give or take, once you've got it on farm. Now, that's 1 day of the week, and it's on a 7-day reset. So, you clear it. If, say, you're in a 10-man guild, you clear that, and then you go do Zulaman, because that's really all you can do. If you're a 25-man guild, you maybe run 2 groups in Kara, 3 if you can get the spares, maybe take some pubbies so that you can get everyone else in Kara for their badges this week, and then you go and try something else. And even if you're only raiding 2 nights a week, which should be relatively within the range of some people, I would think. Most people should at least be able to raid 2 nights a week, even if it's just on the weekends. Either that or raiding probably isn't for you, let's face it, if you can't do that. Now, that should be okay. I mean, 1 night in Kara and 1 night in something else, I mean, surely that's okay for progression. Now, consider this. Here's my theory on this whole thing. I think that our contributor here got it a little bit wrong. It's not a case of discouraging them from making actual progress in more difficult instances. It's a case of giving them gear which is better than the gear they would have acquired in that instance, thereby bringing them to a standstill if their concern is gear alone. And a lot of guilds are. So, I mean, his point was mostly valid. I just think he's coming from it from a slightly incorrect angle. Now, giving people Tier 6 equivalent loot, which is what the badge loot currently is. You've looked at the old badge gear, and look at the new badge gear, you will see that most of it is Tier 6-ish equivalent loot. Some of it is ludicrous. I mean, they've got a ring that's got 2% hit, plus a crap ton of damage and stats. Now, that ring is pretty much as good, if not better than almost anything you can get. Certainly up to Black Temple. Now, the problem is, if you're giving people that amount of gear, the kind of people that you're giving it to are those who don't have enough time or the inclination to get that equivalent level of gear in an instance. Now, if you do that, what you're doing is giving gear to people outside of their level of experience. And I say experience because I'm loath to use the word skill when it comes to instances, yeah? If you're a Tier 4 level experience raider, as in you've beaten Karazhan, but you can't really make much progress into any of the Tier 5 content, maybe you can kill Gruul, maybe you can kill Mike Theridin, okay, you're a Tier 4 raider. Now, if you suddenly get Tier 6 gear, that is not going to make you a Tier 6 raider. It doesn't. You're still a Tier 4 level raider with Tier 6 gear. Now, might make things a little bit easier, but here's the problem. Now, you have Tier 6 level gear. One would assume that you would want to take on Tier 6 level content, because that's where you're going to get your next upgrade from. What does that skip? Well, an entire tier, obviously. You lose out on doing Tier 5. Now, what you might say is that, well, TotalBiscuit, some people will do it, and some guilds will do it, and they will go and do the Tier 5 content. I would say the majority probably won't, because gear is in the minds of a lot of people. It really is. I mean, people who are willing to do endless amounts of heroics just to get gear, yeah, I don't think they're going to be having a lot of fun in those heroics. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I do an heroic for the umpteenth time, we're not exactly talking about a raid instance here where the challenge is enough to keep you interested. We're talking about a heroic, which you've done umpteen times, and it's pretty much autopilot the entire way through, but you're just wasting an hour every time you're doing it. In order just to get a handful of badges. I cannot really see that most people enjoy that. I mean, first few times maybe, but surely after that it becomes something of a grind, right? I mean, am I wrong in that? Is there something wrong in my head? Am I assuming something that isn't true here? So what that means is that why would these people who are willing to spend a lot of time getting gear in a manner which is not enjoyable be willing to then go into an instance whose gear is not as good in order to do what exactly? Acquire gear? Well, no. They're not going to acquire gear in there. They already got the gear from badges. What are they going to get? Primal, the nether vortexes? Well, I suppose, but then again, aren't those sellable now, as I recall? I could be wrong there. I think they are. I haven't played live WoW in a long time. I've been too busy playing beta, so I think they are. So why would you even bother going in there? What do you have to gain? That's the thing, the mindset of that kind of person is willing to do an awful lot of work for gear in a way that isn't interesting. That's the difference between raiders and those who use progressive content. Progressive content in its current form is not as interesting as raiding, by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, really, if you enjoy that kind of stuff more than raiding, I want to know what's up in your head, because, wow. I mean, I thought the Jedi and the lightsabers and explosions in mine was a bad thing, but you are screwed up. I mean, I could recommend you a good shrink, really, called Darth Vader. Now, those kind of people are going to get this gear, and I don't think they're going to go into Tier 5. And they're going to try Tier 6, and they're going to fail miserably, because Tier 6 is a huge jump in difficulty. It's not just about gear, at all. It's about difficulty. It's about the challenge, it's about the amount of experience that you have as a raider, and your cohesiveness as a raid group. Consider yourself warned. If you go into Black Temple and you've never done Tier 5 content, but you go in there just because, hey, there's no achievement anymore, and I've got Tier 6 level gear, you're going to get your ass handed to you. Good luck even getting to the first boss. I mean, really, they haven't nerfed that instance much. It's still pretty tricky. So, for me, that's kind of a failure. And that's the problem I've really got with badges. It's not just a case of me being jealous, oh, you can get Tier 6 level gear. It's the problem that you're obsoleting an entire tier worth of content to people who need to experience it, not just for the sake of enjoyment, but for the experience of getting their A-game on. I mean, you know, you need to bring your A-game to Tier 6 level content, and they're not going to learn that way. Now, they're going to be trapped in Karazhan, not because you've encouraged them to farm badge gear there, but because they now have no purpose to go to the next stage up. And that's a real problem. I mean, does anyone else see that as a problem? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, that's my opinion on badges, and I'm going to bring back a nice little segment that I used to do for the last few minutes of every show. I'm going to do shout-outs for you guys. You know, for some reason, you guys like shout-outs. I don't know why, but you can email themurloc@gmail.com with any special messages or shout-outs you'd like for the last few minutes of the show before I play the last track of the night and hand over to the one and only Cadwellian and Dunkor, who will be doing WoW Things Considered. One thing I have to say, before Gnomewise kills me, the WoW Radio store is opening again. Indeed, it has opened its doors, and it's in the process of refurbishment. Let's just say that. Cafe Press store. It's cafepress.com/wearcraft. That's Wearcraft. See what I did there? Very puntastic. Now, we're going to have some WoW Radio merchandise up there. We've already got some, and we're adding more. And if you'd like to suggest or provide us with any artwork or slogans or anything, feel free to post on our forums at wcradio.com. Click on the forums, and there's a big thread in Station General discussion about the store. We're going to have badges, steins, shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, pretty much everything you possibly want. So, yeah. We do get a few dollars per purchase. It's not a big thing, but to be honest, it's just, I like the idea of seeing someone walking around in WoW Radio gear. I think that's pretty cool. Wouldn't you? I mean, really. You let your little brand go international and suddenly it becomes very, very awesome. So, yeah. Anyway, shout-out time, folks. Email themurloc@gmail.com. You can also PM me on IRC. Yes, you can. You can PM me on IRC if you want to shout out a special message for the last 2 minutes of the show. I have one here by Scott Smith that says, almost shout-out. One of my altars level 69, halfway to 70. With any luck, I will ding during your show. How epic is that? Epic, you say? Well, so do I. I do, in fact, say epic, because I haven't played it this show, and it wouldn't be a show without it. P.S. You should think of rolling alts. You said it yourself, you're very narrow-minded, and playing another class will open you up to my opinion. I don't want to be opened up to your opinion. I don't care about your opinion. I want to stay narrow-minded. It's really nice here, you know. Ignorance is bliss. As it were, blessed is the mind too small for doubt. Now, a shout out here from Boris Iger, a shout to shout-outs. Well, that's very original, never really had that before. I'm sure shout-outs are very much appreciated. Nick Lang, also known as Illyrian, Nick Lang. Or should I say, Nick Wang. Yeah. He says, a shout out to Titan Quest for eating 17 hours of my life in the last 2 days. My clicking finger hurts a lot. Yeah, you do realise you can hold the button down. I mean, you hold shift and just hold the button down and everything dies. It's great. Gotta love hack and slash RPGs. They're absolutely fantastic. Let's see what else we've got in the PMs. Many PMs, left side. Shout out to Havish for a Kara run with good loots tonight, and Soonish entering Tier 5 content, and to Atra for listening to your show. It's from Quel'Thalas EU. PS, roll a Paladin with the Recruit a Friend program. No, I'm rolling a Druid, because I want to be a Moonkin! Oh yes. Shout out to the Shallow Grave Guild in the High Elf server. Please. Yes, hi Ryan. Yeah. So somebody is here, but tough. I'm not going downstairs until I'm finished. Orion, I ain't answering the door. I'm in the middle of a show. It's way too important. To be honest, I'm going to have to go, folks. So, my name's been TotalBiscuit. This has been Blue Plz, or my name's been Blue Plz, and this is the TotalBiscuit Show. Thank you for listening. This is the Ganker, and I'm going to be handing over in a couple of minutes the one and only Cadwellian and Dunkor. Thank you for listening, and good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, introducing the Warcraft champion of the world, the Ganker! I'm a level 60, you're a level 2. That's not gonna stop me from annihilating you. Well, everybody hates me, but you're envious inside. Sure, you'd love to kill me, but you know I'll skin your hide. 'Cause I'm the Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. 'Cause I'm the Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. You know it, baby, I'm the Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. I'm the Ganker and I'm coming for you. Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. How about verse 2? You better keep an eye out when you're in Ashenvale. The second that you see me, you'll start to scream at will. You might run pretty quickly, but my epic mount will fly. So please do me a favor, tell the spirit healer hi. 'Cause I'm the Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. I'm the Ganker and you're going down. The Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. You're next, baby. Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. You heard what I said. It's about that time, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, and I'm coming for you. You know it. You love it. And now it's time for what everybody's been waiting for. How about a little Ganker guitar solo? Baby. And now, for the dramatic finale. Get ready. So you're in the Alliance, well I am in the Horde. Hope you don't mind if I see fit to cut your spinal cord. You know there's no escaping, and that may make you frown. But nobody is safe, you see, when the Ganker is in town. 'Cause I'm the Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. I'm the Ganker and I'm coming for you. Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. I'm the Ganker and I'm coming for you. Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you. I'm the Ganker, baby. Ganker, yeah, and I'm coming for you.
You have been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Plz, a show exclusive to WOW Radio. All WOW Radio shows are originally broadcast live, and you can listen to this one on Fridays at 5:30 EST, that's 10:30 British Standard Time, at wcradio.com. Your support is appreciated, and donations are always welcome via PayPal at wowradiodonations@gmail.com or via the donation button on our website. We appreciate your feedback. Feel free to review our shows